Hello, Gatma. How are you guys doing?
It's
Pretty
very good,
pretty
very
well.
good.
Yeah.
Happy to see you back, Hakman. The last time we had some technical issues, so I couldn't continue the session. But I mean, it's good to see you back.
Thanks.
Right. Let's give it 2 minutes. Let a few
Yeah.
of our colleagues join, and we can go from there.
Yeah. We should wait like a few more minutes for more people to join. After that, we can just start our discussion.
Good. So for those that are just joining us, please drop your country flag in the comment section. Let us know where you're from, and let's connect. Because this session is about you. It is about connecting with you and getting to know more about your thoughts on AI and how we can contribute to that.
Okay. Okay. So we can just start, and people will. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we just jump straight into this. So first of all, let's take this time again to welcome you back to our Inside Open Fabric edition. And this session is more about the AI effects, and we're going to be talking more about how AI is transforming lives in different industry, in different sectors, and in our personal lives. So if you're just tuning in again, welcome to Inside Open Fabric. My name is Jonathan Marvis Clark, and we do have our esteemed CEO, Andrew Tara, and Hajaman, our scientific advisor, representing from Princeton University. With that being said, we just do the usual. So usually we have a pre-selected question from our community, and then we'll go ahead and have a dialogue, basically asking the same questions about from the community, and our speakers will provide answer to that. So that said, let's jump straight into the pre-selected question that we have from the community. And this one is for, both of you can share a perspective on that. So, Andrew, let's start with you. How is AI reshaping traditional industries and creating new business opportunities?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not about reshaping, because a lot of people are speaking about, how AI is changing, how AI is altering things, how AI is, transforming things. But I guess AI is more about providing additional tools. So, we even using AI from a long time. I mean, we have it like in medical device, we have it in, a lot of things around us. We just weren't so aware as is this moment. So, in a way, this, this approach that people get to be conscious about AI, which is bring by ChatGPT, it just let people to understand how the technology is, but technology is out there from a very long time. So it's not something that is simply like a like a major event that is happened from nowhere, and is simply changing everything, groundbreaking, changing everything. Of course, it has a big impact in all what we're doing, but at the same time, it's not something that is in a way changing or destroying or modifying things. It's just a new set of tools which is augmented in a way all the things that we already got and we already used to. So it's not about something that is drastically like in catastrophic event, something that change everything. Rather something that is like a natural process, something like in more in a way it's just a new set of tools.
It's more
So yeah.
incremental.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's too many buzz, too many news around artificial intelligence and the impact on our everyday life. So, Ajahn, Hakma, let's hear from you. What's the perspective?
So I work a little bit with this. I teach and I have students. that I am teaching about the things that they can do and what they can do for the companies. So essentially, I guess that is a bit of this transition happening. But I agree very much with Andre that it's more a question of incremental improvements. Of course, there are new use cases. There's new stuff that couldn't be done before that can be done now, but it's not like when we went from no electricity to electricity or something like that. At least it doesn't seem all like that revolutionary. It seems more like incremental improvements where we can do some new stuff, but many of the old stuff just more efficiently.
I mean, that's a very good a point there. That also leads me to the next question, because we basically have people in the audience that are uh, running their own SMEs and entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs in the comment section. So let's dive a little bit more into how AI is transforming the businesses. In what ways can AI enhance customer experience and drive personalization in B2C interaction? We'll go with you, Hajama.
So customer experience and personalization are, of course, big topics. I see that like it's something that the companies are very interested in, and they put a lot of effort in. And I think this is more the, how should I say, the first things to adopt these new AI methods. And of course, customer experience. This we have all been in this telephone queues waiting to get service, right? And we have, how long time it takes to get human service, and if they then replace human service with some automated system, like some kind of expert system, those are generally not very good, right? You have all been there. And I guess that this is, of course, it is happening right now. And I worked with it myself, and I had students working with it, where you will essentially be able to provide this natural language-based service in a very fluent manner. So that is one step. Whether they will be entirely as good as like a real human that can go in and change your records for you, and so that I'm not sure about. Well, I mean, they will be at one point, right? But whether that will be this half year or next year, that I don't know. Right, but that's definitely the better the improvements in natural language processing have enabled way better systems like this, and they are getting developed and rolled out now as we speak, right?
I mean that's a very good one. I mean, there's so many uncertainties around. So let's hear from you, Andrew. Tell us more. What do you think about that?
So from my perspective, AI is going to unscale things. So essentially, right now we see all these services, all the products that people are utilizing, are produced by some big companies that utilize a lot of resource to create those products, to create all those things. So I guess in the near future we're going to see, much smaller companies that will be able to provide the right product for the right person, by utilizing AI to make it more customizable, to make it more, fit to your needs. So in a way, having smaller companies which are able to provide the same services or products to you, in a way is more beneficial even for our environment, because the like these big huge companies who has to have some very huge pipelines, even industrial production and things like that require to create like mass production. Rather, we can create very specific, very tailored product for the end user. And if you just think about, even like in medicine, right? So if let's say what works very good for a person doesn't work very good for other ones. So
Yeah.
I will see in near future, more of these, custom and customizable product, which are very well tailored for each person, each individual personal needs. So in a way, is not only about disrupting thing. It's also about optimizing thing. And I guess AI is a very good tool to optimize thing. And when it's about producing things for our needs, like our day to day requirement, like the products, the services we use, I guess it will be very good for optimizing all this process. And why not to unscale all these big giant company who have a very strong footprint on the environment itself.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just I guess go ahead,
I think
Anthony.
I have a little a little side here. That yes, I believe as Sandra says that you will get a lower barrier of entry, right? And we already see that it is happening, and which will allow for smaller companies to be competitive, which is of course positive. And also when it comes to personalization, so I myself work on a startup. Well, not that work. I advise for a startup that is developing using essentially or intend to use generative AI for design, right? So of course now it's not just like making a painting that looks cool or producing a piece of text that sounds convincing, but to actually design physical objects, right? So if you say that you yourself say you're interested in furniture, and you want to design your own furniture, but you don't have the knowledge about the structural properties of the materials you want to use, or you don't have the stuff, you don't have the knowledge that people learn when they take study design in the university or so, right? But with the help of generative AI, we can probably make systems that allows anyone to guide the design so they can somehow like generate their personalized say furniture, so right. Of course this comes together with smart manufacturing, right? Like different versions of not necessarily 3D printing, but this type of systems that can do one-offs relatively cheaply.
I mean, I totally agree with you guys' point. Especially generative AI is something that is definitely revolutionizing the way we do things and the way we conduct business, and especially for small businesses, this is the chance for them to compete with a big corporation because they have tons of different tools for them to leverage to set themselves apart. That also leads me to the next question. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Open Fiber Edition, and today's conversation is on the AI effect and how AI is transforming our lives and our businesses and everything around us. So the next question that we'll start with you, Andre. How can businesses leverage AI to streamline their operations and improve efficiency?
So in a way, I guess it's we're starting designing like new kind of tools. So as Hjalmar just uh, exemplify with the possibility to create generative models to create like object or things like that. I guess the businesses will have to be very competitive in the new environment. So they have to find new way to optimize how they're creating things, how they're utilizing resources, and how they're optimizing like the overall process, even starting from marketing, production, distribution, and everything in the entire pipeline. So AI is a very good tool to optimize things. So I will see a lot of businesses, and they even doing right now, even though they are not saying to you, if it was that example where McDonald's are able to basically predict in each of their location how much cheeseburger they have to produce in that way, so they reduce the waste. They're already doing that. But given the fact, that AI got somehow more democratized, and a lot of more people get access to it, the competition to create even more optimized pipeline is even bigger. So we're going to see a huge adoption in a lot of companies of utilizing AI technology to streamline and to optimize their overall process and everything in at the business as a whole.
Interesting. To those of you that are sending up your questions in the comment section, we have the last segment of this AMA session, we will answer that. So just stick around and put your comment in the session. So to you, Hakma, let's get a perspective on the question. I mean, I can repeat the question again. So,
Yeah, no,
okay,
I remember
okay,
it.
thank you.
And I see, of course, a lot of that. So one thing I do is that I advise the students' capstone projects, which it's like half year, 8 month long projects where they work for companies doing implementing different AI related proof of concepts, right? And so I see often these questions that as they occur, and of course the companies are interested in maximizing profit, right? It's very
Of
simple.
course.
And so that is of course an optimization problem. Of course now this is a very multi, I should say, there's many moving parts, right? It's a very multi-dimensional complex optimization problem. So at this point we cannot just like plug in a bunch of numbers and create the optimal flow, right? But in parts they do work on this a lot, and I see that there's a curious actually it's an old research topic, right? Operations research, right? How do we optimization essentially, right? But then machine learning became so popular and machine learning is generally, not always, but very much about like predicting things, right? Whereas classification and regression, and that's actually often that doesn't speak so directly to what companies want. Companies want to optimize. They don't. Of course, something often is useful for them to be able to predict, but that's not directly what they're after. So I see now the last few years, it comes also a little bit with GDPR, but this thing with the explainable machine learning, where they want to understand how a predictive model works, and if you understand how it works, you can also tell how can you change the inputs so that you get the output you want, and this provides this possibility for optimization, right? So say that you have a model that predicts how many cheeseburgers are going to get sold across different locations of McDonald's, right? Okay, so now you can use this to kind of figure out how can we sell as many cheeseburgers as possible. So you figure out the inputs. You find the optimal inputs that will give the output you want. So this is something very recent. Like there was actually a period when I was advising students, and I understood that the companies wanted something like this, but they didn't know how to ask for it, and they didn't know about this how should I say this side or this research line in machine learning and AI that would address their questions. But they are learning. It is becoming quickly a bigger thing.
I mean, that's a really good point. Especially you talked about the input and output parts that has to do with having how many cheeseburgers should be produced, and that also push us more into a data driven model or data driven process or
Yeah.
strategies. So now that leads me to my next question, and we're going to start with you, Hagma. I just want you to continue from that part. How can AI help businesses make more informed decisions and drive data driven strategies?
Yeah, so this will be one way, right? That you formulate things as optimization problems, and you try to find optimal solutions. And now with these latest developments in explainable AI or explainable machine learning, there are tools that are good and are getting better for doing exactly like this. You maybe have heard about SHAP values, or they're different. There's different ways to introspect or like understand how the models work, and if you understand how they work, then you also understand how can you optimize the input so that you get what you want, essentially. Of course, beyond that, I mean, like machine learning itself is also an optimization process, right? But not necessarily a business optimization process.
I mean, yeah, that makes some valid points. And now we just move on to Andre. Andre, tell us what do you think? What's the perspective?
So, in terms of ethics, because ethics is it's quite important, because in a way we're human beings, and we care about other human beings, and it's important to do that because we cannot live by ourselves. But at the same time, the exponential potential of AI technology is that it's capable to replace a lot of human. I mean, not human, but their work. There's a lot of jobs, a lot of things that people are doing that can be automated by utilizing different even large language model or other type of algorithms. Of course, it's important when businesses are adopting these models, of course, to be sure that they have a smooth impact on the people which are working on those companies. Because in a way, if you can replace one, you can replace like one team of people responding to your call center with a single, chatbot. Of course, as a business is better, but as a as the people who are working there, of course, there's a problem. But at the same time, I think we should use our the human mind in creative ways. So we should start also thinking about how we can use our mind and our creativity, because AI is good, but it's not, it lack the imagination the human possess it. So
Good.
I think we should think about how we can get those people and to direct them to a more, maybe, of course, I may be biased, but to research part, to be creative, to create more value with their mind, because AI is a tool. It's just a tool. It's not is yet, or at least at this moment, is not capable to replace that spark which it's specific to human mind. So of course we have to be you have to keep the human side and to take a part of those people, but at the same time those people should be guided to more creative, to things that produce value by creating new things, instead of having repetitive and tasks which are not require so much creativity, because all those things right now can be easily replaceable with the technology we have in machine learning and all these interesting algorithms. So yeah.
I mean, you guys really gave a really good insight on that part, especially when it comes to integrating a data-driven approach into your strategies, powered by, of course, artificial intelligence. So we have one more question to take from this, the first segment of this conversation, which is AI and businesses.
I have a little
Yes,
I have a little comment on the
yes,
ethics
please,
of
please go
this,
ahead.
right? And it is much discussed and it is interesting and important. So I don't want to, but the way I see it is this is kind of like as an industrialization of intellectual pursuit or intellectual work.
Okay.
And if you think about like agriculture, I mean, back in the days, we would plant potatoes. I come from Sweden, we plant potatoes, plant potatoes by hand, right? And now
Mhm.
you have a machine to do it, and you pick them using a machine and clean them using a machine, right? It has been industrialized, and the same with like a whole bunch of other things, right? But many of our much of our intellectual work was still manual. Of course, the pocket calculator, it did machine turned out some of this into a machine, but it's essentially the same, right? So I think we are just going to offload more of the things onto machines, but just as like we still control agriculture, we still control the factories, and we have to think and work with that. We will keep on having to think and work with AI, but how we do it will change, right? And I guess that there was a question about lifelong learning and so on. I think this ties into that. Lifelong learning is definitely, I think it's going to be more important than it was, and that we have ability to keep on learning and the resources to do it. I think that's a very big ethical consideration. Okay, that was mine.
That's a really good point, especially the part where you talk about the learning, interspersing with artificial intelligence. It's just going to be a continual process for everyone. So, if you are as a small business owner and trying to become an entrepreneur, you got to understand that, as Andrew mentioned, AI is just a tool. So you need to do some your own research and know the best tool to integrate into your business for you to set yourself apart from the rest of your competitions. So let's talk a little bit more about ethic, because we have this issue of tons of different AI applications in the market. People are releasing new products every day, every minute, every second. If you go on product hunts, you have tons of different products that releases every time. So what ethical considerations should companies keep in mind when implementing AI solutions? We'll start with you, Andre.
So in a way, this is a very complicated topic, because in a way it's just try to think about fire. So before people know about fire, there's no fire. But once they got the fire, they start using to melt like metal to cook food, but also to burn like houses and to destroy with it. So uh, in a way, we just discovered new type of fire. So the ethics of how we're using that, of building or destroying things, it's something that is essentially up to us, up to how we utilize it. Well, I'm more in favor of thinking that we're going to use this to create new things, to create new services, to create better, to create faster, to create more efficient way to utilize our resources, because we already got some, maybe you're aware, some problem with our resources, with how we manage that, how we manage our waste, how we manage a lot of problem. And I guess we just got like a super tool that can be used to tackle this kind of problem. Of course, ethics, it's something, and our moral value, it will guide us to that. Of course, there will be people trying to use the fire to burn things, which of course is not good. But I guess we're going to learn how to use that, and how to, to, as any tool, as Hjalmar told about, the potato machine that is putting, potato in
Yeah.
ground, maybe at the beginning, people were scared about it, because they say, okay, if that's putting potato on my behalf, what I should do. So things change a bit. There's a fewer people putting potato for all of us, and the rest are focusing on, you know, doing other great things, which allows us to progress as a human species. And I guess that will be also the case with the AI technology. We're going to do some mistakes. We're going to learn from that. But bottom line, I guess it will be going to use to do good, to help us advance further on in our human progress.
Awesome. Let's move on to you, Hakma. Please, what's your perspective? Tell us.
Yeah, I share very much Andre's perspective, but that's not so as happened. Well, when I guess back in the days, 90% of the Swedish people were like planting potatoes, essentially, right? And then agriculture got industrialized, and now it's 5% or something like that, which means that those other 85% they can do other things, which they have done, and you have them starting companies like IKEA and Volvo and H&M and whatever, right? So there is, of course, there's something frightening in the change and the freeing up, so to speak, of labor. At the same time, as it is, if you look back when that has happened, that has actually led to an enrichment and progress of human uh, culture. However, so like that is my basic perspective, but that doesn't mean that one shouldn't discuss and think and adapt to the challenges that come up, right? I mean, for example, we get back to it again, right? But with lifelong learning, that's probably going to be a much bigger part, and that it should be available to people and possible for people to learn what they need to learn, right? And that is this type of ethical consideration, and there's going to be a lot more. So like to always like try to know, make sure that developments are as open as possible, as openly discussed, and as openly that the knowledge around them is spread as much as possible, so everybody can contribute and discuss and find solutions. That will make it better with less problems. But in general, I think it is something that should be considered good for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys really touched base on that part, especially when it comes to the important privacies that you just mentioned. I want to believe that there way more to this, and there are a couple of questions coming in. We will address a question right after the second to the last segment. We will have our speakers to answer your questions. Please keep them coming in. So now we talked about AR in our lives and our small businesses. Let's go more deeper into the industry. Let's talk about Web3. Let's talk about AR. Let's talk about Web2 and Web3 industry. Let's go more deeper. So we'll start with you, Andre. What role does AI play in the development and advancement of Web3 technologies?
I guess this part where is doing categories like Web 2, Web 3, Web 4, Web whatever. I guess there's a single web. The main difference that and the main contribution of Web 3 is the ownership. It provides a way for people to prove the ownership of things. Doesn't matter if like NFT or other things. It's a way to have ownership over the certain asset. So of course, when it's about thinking of water being an open fabric, we ourselves we are trying to push the limit in a way of Web3 itself, because we are utilizing blockchain technology, and we try to use that to create like planetary scale network, which essentially can be used to scale up and to democratize access to AI technology. So you see, we make use of blockchain technology to scale up artificial intelligence, but at the same time, we can use artificial intelligence and models like finding faults in smart contracts and do auditing or different blockchain system, or even use it for finding like frauds or different problems. So in a way, it's not like one way. It's not like, okay, AI is affecting blockchain or blockchain is affecting AI, or
Mhm,
is Web 2 and Web 3. Rather, we have a single web, we have a single because everything is based on the internet, right? All those
mhm,
technology are built on top of internet, and they're just leveraging new values. So blockchain is providing people a way to have ownership about things. AI is providing people capabilities to to use like in a way like intelligence services, things that have a certain degree of intelligence. So I don't think AI and blockchain are should be seen like separate, but we think, and this is of course this is like our vision in Open Fabric, we try to combine the best of the both technology. So in a way that is providing something even more valuable, it's try to push the limits. So in a way, we try to build a web of intelligence service, where people are able to use intelligence service at the same time should be able to have ownership about different services and algorithms and how they execute it and how they utilize. So it's a very, in a way, it's a very strange synergy, because most of the people didn't see that kind of synergy working, but it's something that is just natural, because we can utilize all the concept on the idea from the blockchain to scale up artificial intelligence, which kind of was confined for a very long time. So we may think that AI just happened right now, but it's something happening from 15 years maybe. So it's incremental, but we just got the tool to utilize it at a larger scale right now. So yeah.
yeah, the AI conversation in Web3. That's already in-depth response to the question. So let's hear from you, Hakma. Let's hear your perspective.
So yeah, apart from working with Andre on Open Fabric, but that Andre covered that, right? But I have also actually done work on. You all know about stable coins, right? And stable coins are not always all that stable, and sometimes big amounts of money go up in smoke, right? And that, for example, that is one application of AI or machine learning that I have worked on when it comes to trying to actually in this case predict dpeg. And if you can predict dpeg, you can maybe not avoid it, but you can control the damage it ends up creating. I have worked in a bunch of such projects where we take advantage of all the data generated by blockchain transactions, right? After all, it's all published, all the true data is there, right? And this is things happening. Like people always say that these transactions, these are things happening, real world actions taking place on the blockchain, of course, but still, right? These are transactions, me sending something to you, you sending something to me, and so on, right? Which you can analyze and you can act upon. But to deal with it, these are big amounts of data. You deal with, you have to use AI. I mean, this is not much of this you don't deal with manually, so to speak, right? So you can say maybe, as Andres said, like Web3 is about ownership of digital entities, I guess, and AI is about acting on digital entities. So you have the two, you have the objects and the actions, and you can create an ecosystem.
Yeah, we got some interesting questions coming in from the comment section, and I hope you guys are ready to answer them. So, let's move on to the next question. But I want to say you guys really gave a really good answer to that question about Web3, and this leads me to the next part where I want to know more about, for the audience sake, not just for me. Let's look at this from answering this question from in the interest of the audience. What role does AI play in the development and advancement of Web3 technologies? Anyone can go first. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So,
You want to go first?
yeah, sure. So, when it's about the role, because in a way it's this just I just mentioned earlier. So if you just see the both technology in a way in separating maybe incompatible way, because most of the time people saw these two technology like blockchain and AI like in a way not compatible, because blockchain is something which is very slow. All the data are there, are published. AI is a model, need a lot of data, has to be fast, so it's very hard to combine them. So I guess we're going to see a lot more use case, a lot more interesting, application that either AI is utilized to, as Hjalmar mentioned, to do some prediction, do some analysis on blockchain. At the same time, we're going to see a lot of blockchain system will be able to interop and utilize function from AI algorithm. So it's like a very interesting synergy. It's a bit counterintuitive, because as mentioned, people didn't see that coming. But I guess we're going to see a lot more and very interesting new tools which are going to be developed for analysis and doing all kind of things regarding the blockchain. And at the same time, we're going to see a lot of dApps or decentralized application utilizing functionality from artificial intelligence. So we're going to see a lot of very interesting things, I guess, in the following period.
I guess the future is promising. Hakma, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, so I think it can. I mean, this is for the future, right? I think it can play a role in DAOs, right? So DAOs today are essentially a bunch of tokens or a bunch of money that are owned by a bunch of people, and then they vote with a token. But the actions that the DAO performs are generally by humans, right? So should we, if it's some investment DAO, should we buy this token or should we buy that token, and should we sell this or that, or like the actual actions are often done by humans. And we can imagine a situation here where a whole bunch of these actions would be performed by AI. services, right? So we had it becomes like I say decentralized autonomous organization bot or something like that. I don't know. Uh, Definitely. And to some extent, I suppose that AI can be used to optimize and develop better smart contracts, check smart contracts, better technology. Essentially, you already see this kind of stuff happening a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of smart contract, I think we do have an upcoming AMA, and we're going to be having a joint AMA session with one of our partners, and they are more into the smart contract part. So if you are sticking around, just make sure that you look at your email. We're going to send you official invitation to join that session. So let's try to wrap this topic on blockchain. But I understand that blockchain and artificial intelligence are two different spaces, and at the same time they share some things in common. So I want to know from the end user perspective, how can blockchain and AI be combined to create innovative solutions? Let's start with you, Hajima.
I will actually hand it over to Andre. Like he has a way better answer than I have because that
Hmm.
is his big project.
Yeah,
Andrew gave it a shot.
yeah.
No.
So I guess the best example, of, seeing those two different, technology working together is in Open Fabric. Of course, this is not a trivial task because there's a lot of technical challenges that we had to address in order to make things work. So we actually got a lot of time just to do the research, a lot of time to understand things, a lot of time to polish things and put together in a way that it works. And not just work like functionally, but works in a way that makes sense for the end user, like from, makes sense for the end user, like from experience perspective, makes sense for the people building AI application on top of Open Fabric from, developer perspective. So, and also work from security, and we also want to ensure that people, because people care about a lot about their privacy, about their data, even though they're sharing everything on Facebook and on the social social channel. They care very much about some sensitive data about you. Let's say if you have like an application who is doing like drug discovery or doing some analysis on some biometric data, then there's a different type of seriousness about those data. It's not like I'm sharing my picture on my Instagram, but this kind of private information are things that people are care a lot. So when we design Open Fabric, we want to make sure that we're able to keep this kind of privacy, so people are ensured, but not like, okay, it's sure because we say it. So it's sure because all these cryptographic and all these math, because in a way cryptography has some math, some fundamental math, who basically say 2 + 2 equals, it's always 4, never 5. So in a way, we have to put a lot of things, together, very different from very different, um, from very different, subspaces of computer science, put it together in a way so the technology of Web3 and AI can work together smoothly, and of course making sense for the end user, because this is the most important thing. It doesn't matter how smart your technology, doesn't matter how cool it is. If it doesn't make sense for the end user, then it's basically it's something cool, it's nice, but it's useless for the end users. So this is our approach in how we try to combine those things so that they make sense for the end user, not only like from the usability, but also from security and all these different aspects and different verticals, that they have to be all like check all of them 100%.
Good. That's, I don't know. I have to like snap for you. So usually we snap. That's a very good response to that. So now we're going to wrap up the question around Web3 space. Let's go more deeper into another industry. Let's talk about the healthcare industry. We can still start with you, Andre, or then move to Hakma. How can AI empower healthcare system to deliver more accurate diagnosis and personalized treatment plans?
So
Andrew, you want to take it first?
yeah, sure. So, as I previously mentioned, when it's about, creating treatments and creating like medicine for people, I guess even though we are like, maybe 99.9% similar, we are still different. And what works for me doesn't work for you. So in a way, we have to rethink like our entire medicine, like our entire healthcare system in a way that is tailored for each individual. So right now we just experimenting a bit, drug discovery utilizing AI to generate like new medicine, and we're just playing a bit with it. But I guess in the near future we're going to see a lot of new startups, new companies, basically a new approach even to the problem. This the problem of aging. But beyond that, I guess AI can be used to tailor down and to create, very very specific, like individual specific medicine that works better for you. That with is tailored for how you build in a way. So that's a bit different or how things are done right now, because when you're creating a new medicine, we of course there's a lot of trial. We test it. We make sure it's safe for everyone. But this is like it works for 99.9% of the people. But if you are just very small percentage you who dies from that medicine, well, it from a statistical perspective doesn't matter. But if from a personal perspective, it's very important. So I think AI can be used to create this kind of tailored healthcare solution for each individual. And I guess it's going to be a something changing, like a game changer in the healthcare industry.
I mean, that's how come? Yeah, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah. Actually, there's some a really, really big problem that AI can and is contributing to, that happens before the issue of personalization. That is the antibiotics resistance. So this is a rapidly growing problem with antibiotics resistance. I think and antibiotic so they stay, and slowly new bacteria split the number, and you accumulate and spread the number of antibiotics resistance bacteria. I think they actually predict that I think it's the WHO that by 2050 there will be about 10 million deaths per year from antibiotic resistant bacteria, right? So making
Wow.
actually making COVID seem like a walk in the park, right? And why then say like, why don't we just like create new antibiotics, right? But it turns out that we have essentially, with the methods that we use, like, which is more or less just testing nature. They look in soil, look for soil bacteria and antibiotics in soil organisms. So it's a screening essentially, right? And then once they find something, they modify it a little bit, so they create some variations, right? But with those methods, we have essentially hit ceiling. We don't really find more. I see here that we haven't found any new clinical antibiotics since the 1980s, right? That's like in the order of 20 years, about 20 years ago, right? And this is where AI, there are way more possible molecules. So they're like the space of possible molecules is big enough, right? But now we're talking billions. It takes a long time to test them. So their AI has a role to play if we can have models that can predict properties of molecules. And I think that was one such model that Open Fabric is experimenting with right now, right? But this is a field, right? If you can predict properties of molecules, then we can, of course, screen much faster. We don't have to grow them in petri dishes. We can skip a bunch of steps there. That's faster screening. And then, of course, with generative AI, if we can learn to generate models with desired properties, we can create drugs in response to new diseases and new problems. And I know that the latter is in development. They're researching on it, but I don't know any such drug having been discovered. But I know that in 1920, by using screening methods, so AI-based screening, they did find a new drug that is a very promising antibiotic. They call it halicin from Hal in 2001. But so yeah,
Nice.
this is a very, very, very big, very important question where AI actually seems to be the savior. Actually, I would say, yeah.
I guess of all of the industries that are around, two key industry that's going to be heavily impacted by AI will be the educations and that of the healthcare. That statistic that you just gave on antibiotic resistance is very crucial, and I want to say thank you so much for sharing that. For our folks in the listening session, this is something that we have an issue. You need to start thinking outside the box to find a solution to that before 2050. So let's move to the next question. We so we'll start with you, Hakma. How can AI revolutionize medical diagnostic and improve accuracy in detecting diseases? We want to know how no the accuracy in detecting diseases using AI tools. How can
So
that
now we
happen?
talk about delivery and so a little bit it's done, and as one thing is, of course, we see a lot that they are being used for image recognition. Is being used to detect cancers or so from X-ray sheets. That was an early step. There's also, actually, I would say like a kind of proto AI that when I studied psychology as an do my PhD. I studied neuroscience and psychology. So I took some courses in psychology, but they had this very interesting demonstration of a like a flow chart. But the flow chart is really like a decision tree, right? So, and decision tree is as you all know, the kind of the basis for a whole class of machine learning models. The XGBoost or the gradient boosting trees, right? These are just, or random forest, right? It's just collections of decision trees, right? So the decision tree is like a fundamental, like kind of machine learning part, right? Or archit learner, right? Yeah. And a long time ago, they actually developed a decision tree for diagnosis, right? So that you can just say like, okay, is your temperature above or below this? Do you have pain here or there? Do you feel weakness? Or just ask these questions, and then you follow the decision tree, and then you can say, okay, you have this disease, or you have that disease, or something else, right? And it turned out that people, and this is where the psychologists came in, that even though this is very accurate, and anyone can, or people with very little training can then make a pretty accurate diagnosis, actually more accurate than most experienced doctors. Uh, the patients didn't like it because they want this human trust, right? So it becomes a trust issue, right? Like, so even if there are, how should I say, this is of course rudimentary AI, but like the same ideas, right? An algorithmic procedure to do something. So even if we have those that are very efficient or very with high accuracy, it's not always very popular because of trust issues, right? However, now as people's trust in AI change, I think that actually a number of of old AI related technologies will become applied more widely. So it's not only the kind of latest and the greatest, also just that now you can in healthcare take advantage of the fact that the trust has grown, right? And I think trust was something that held back much development before. Yeah.
Well, Andrew, we get a take from you.
Yes, so I assume we just thought about the model who are took him maybe like a picture or RMI and try to diagnose and basically find the disease. But I feel like in the near future we're going to have a lot of AI, which will be integrated with all gadgets, like even like our smartwatches or phone or other devices, who are going to try to provide us hints of, they will be able to detect disease before we get them. Like, okay, you don't, we already start seeing these kind of apps, say, okay, you have to drink water, you have to do movement, you have to do that and that and that. But the more advanced that the gadget become, and the sensors and the technology able to, in a way measure you as a biological being, we're going to see a lot of interesting application where, basically you will be able to be diagnosed with a certain disease before you get that. So it's more like prevention. So I guess we're going to see a very, very interesting application of AI in that space, essentially in finding out and try to, hinder the disease by itself. And I guess the next step after that, it'll going to be, okay, how are we going to fight the problem of, getting old, aging? Because in a way, aging is like it's a technical problem in a way. So if we nail that down, uh, it's it will going to be interesting, at least to say.
It's a biological problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But I understand what you're saying. Like, it is something that is no magic, right? It is real
Yeah.
processes that you can understand and do something about. I think what you said about uh, diagnosis, or I should say, like, before the fact diagnosis. So by having devices with sensors, couple them to AI, we can start to predict the state of the body, or the state of health of an individual. That is something I worked on, and that is absolutely coming and very exciting. And I think it will address one problem, is that, I might have a bad heart, but I'm not going to go to the doctor until I've had my heart attack, right? But with this, you will be able to maybe tell me a couple of years before the heart attack that, I should change what I eat, or I should start taking some medication or something like that, to avoid having an heart attack altogether, right? So this uh, I should say, like, I mean, it's essentially like using the vaccines instead of getting the disease, right? So this preventive healthcare, I think, is going to become bigger by the combination of smart devices, or like sensors and AI, absolutely,
Yeah.
and make our lives better. Yeah.
That's a really good response to that. If you're just tuning in, this is Inside Open Fabric Edition, and today's conversation is on the AI effect. We have with us our extended CEO, Andrew Tarad, and Hakma Toussaint, our scientific advisor from Open Fabric AI. So we will take two more questions, and then we'll go more into the questions from the comment section. We have tons of questions here, and we really love it. Keep sending them in. We have just two more questions to go. Then we open the stage for our speakers to respond to your questions. So to wrap this up, for the pre-selective question, Andre and Hakma, let's start with you, Andre. What roles does AR play in enabling decentralized prediction market and Oracle network?
So I guess up to this moment, there are a few, attempt to create, all kind of AI solution able to predict the crypto market. But at the same time, if we're looking at the stock market, in the stock market, most of the trading, most of the things which are happening are already powered by AI. So right now, the most profitable, the most powerful, traders in the stock market are the one who has the most smartest AI solution, more capable to predict the market in the most, interesting way. So if it's about to look of what is happening in the stock market and how trading is happening right now, I guess in the near future, we're going to see a lot of AI solution utilized in a way to speculate about, trading in the crypto market, similar as it's used in the in the stock market. So in a way, we just take a solution from a place where it's used and it's working, and we try to apply it in another place. So in a way, it's just the beginning. I saw a couple of people trying to solve this problem for the crypto market, but I guess we're going to see more of this happening as long as the crypto market itself grows and get more mature and things get more stable. And yeah, we're going to see basically a lot of these interesting solutions.
Okay. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up this question that we have it to put them in order. Yep. So thank you for that, Hakma. Do you want to add to that?
No, I don't have too much to add, really.
Okay, Akma, you talked about neuroscience. I believe that you have a huge background in neuroscience and psychology. So this one is for you personally. Um, we talk about AI, we talk about Web3, we talk about how AI is transforming our daily lives and small businesses. Let's go into neuroscience. How can AI and Web3 technologies contribute to advancement in neuroscience research and our understanding of the brain?
This is a big. For me, it's a big question. Maybe too big to answer in a reasonable way. I was just over the weekend visiting a friend that I used to work with. So he's also a neuroscientist, and we talked a bit about AI. So I guess that's one problem that's been bugging me and bugged me a lot in my PhD. Is this thing that
Mhm,
the amount of research, so research is communicated in articles, right? So when you do something, you do some experiment, you have some idea, you do some experiment, you get some result, and then you write an article of 10-20 pages in pretty hard to read language. And that is the result of that, right? That's been published. And then there's a ton of researchers around the planet, and they all write these articles. And if you work on a question, then you have to read all the relevant articles. And honestly, I mean, I'm a bit dyslexic, right? But even if I wasn't, it's hard to keep up. Like the amount of research being produced, you can try to keep up to date with all the research in AI, for example, right? Or in artificial or in neuroscience. It's next to impossible, right?
mhm,
Which means that actually we're in a situation here where we're like the human brain
mhm,
doesn't really have the capability to integrate all relevant information. There's just too much. And this amount of information is not decreasing, right? Like what was published 100 years ago is still relevant or might still be relevant, right? At the same time as new stuff is publishing all the time. So even if I maybe if I'm really good and spend all my time reading and thinking, maybe I can integrate much, but wait another 10 years and I won't be able to, right? This is accumulating, right? So we were discussing the risk that we get stuck, essentially, right? We cannot integrate
mhm,
enough to move the science forward,
mhm,
right? And of course, then now about natural language processing and natural language understanding, and these are big research topics and that have had big progress lately, right? So utilizing AI to
mhm,
process all this information and maybe even generate hypotheses, find relevant studies or find relevant support for and against ideas. And so I think that is going to be absolutely necessary. I mean,
mhm,
this is a big thing, no doubt in general, right?
mhm,
Neuroscience specifically, I think it applies to all sciences. Really, there are people working on this. I haven't done it myself, but I'm interested in it. It is a topic, and it's going to be absolutely crucial, I think. Um, Web3, I've seen some. I cannot think about anything right off the bat. I know people have been interested in using Web3 for transparency of research transparency, but at this point I cannot. The stuff I saw was a couple of years ago. It wasn't super convincing. Uh, the, I cannot think about any like really good example right off the bat, but maybe in distributing research costs a lot of money, right? Maybe in distributing research funds, or yeah, I don't know. I should cannot think about anything right now.
I mean, you really gave a really in-depth response to that, and I want to say thank you so much for providing more information on that question. Again, as I mentioned to you, we'll now open the stage for questions from the comment section. So, Hakma and Andrea, are you guys ready to answer the people's questions? Yeah. So let's see. Our backstage team have already shortlisted them. We will start with the first question here. This person said that I love 3D tool. Any more tools being added? Andre?
So I guess this is about our demonstration about the uh, text to 3D model generator that we created. So of course this is a good example to showcase people what the technology can build. Of course, we are building more use cases. We're building more examples just to showcase. Because in a way, the main purpose of all these examples is to showcase people how flexible the protocol we're building, and in a way, it also allows us to to test different kind of use case and see how they fit and how we can polish further our protocol. So yeah, we're going to showcase a lot more use case. Very interesting. As mentioned, we are experimenting with some medicine generating AI. So we're going to have very diverse use case just to showcase the power of the protocol we're building. So yeah, just keep up in our social channel and we'll see more demonstration, more interesting tools around.
Interesting. Yeah, I hope that Andrew provided more response to your question, and I hope you are satisfied with the response. So as you said, just stick around, follow us on our social media, and we'll share more updates on more tools being added to our platform. So the next question comes and you say that I have heard U.S. Congress they are going to consider new bills on AI. Is it more popular to legislative? I think the person means legislative or AI instead of crypto. Didn't mean regulations, but AI instead of crypto.
So I guess people got a bit scared about AI because it's like in a way it's like an exponentially tool, and it can be used by anyone. Basically, you have the resource and you have the knowledge. If you're smart, you can utilize that. So in a way, I see it in like a double sword. First, people get scared about it, so governments start to try to regulate it somehow to ensure to the people that it won't get out of control. But at the same time, I feel like some big companies trying to monopolize that. So in a way, okay, we are the first. We are here saying you what is good and what is not working, and you should not try something else. So in a way, it's a very complex, very complicated game, and I think, of course, it should be regulated in a way. So it's like fire. You should not burn houses with it. You should, but it's good to cook meal for all of us. Everyone should be able to cook his own food, as long as you're not burning houses or doing something wrong with it. But at the same time, I see this more focusing on legislating AI than crypto, because there's some big companies creating this large language model and this solution, and they want somehow to monopolize it. That's my opinion. Maybe is not the right vision, but this is how I see it from my standpoint.
Okay. We move to the next question. The next question has to do with the industry. Which industries will be positively affected by AI in short term regarding human resources? I mean, recruiting more people. So they're more specifying the question on recruiting more people. They want to know which industries will be positively affected by AI in the short term.
So good AI need good data, right? In order to create a very good model, you need some very good data, and good data are created by people. So I think there will be a high demand about people curating and filtering and validating data. Also, people about maintaining maintaining not only data set but services related to AI. So I think there will be a very high demand about people who will be labeling data or curating data or preparing, because it's about there's a people maybe are not aware of that, but when you're developing like a new model, there's a lot of steps, a lot of things, a very complex and long process on doing that. So one of the biggest chunk of that is creating the data set and the training set. Basically you're feeding out your neural network, you're doing training, then you have the output. But the first part where you are preparing the data require a lot of human output or a human feedback to that. So I guess we're going to see a huge increase on preparing those data. At the same time, it's we saw like this kind of stable diffusion and generative model. They need some good prompts. So we'll see some like prompt engineers, people creating good prompts to create good output. So we're going to even see like new kind of profession, new people, new jobs created by these, requirements that didn't exist like, a few months ago.
Yeah, today a prompt engineer is essentially like the one who drives the machine, right?
Yeah.
Like if you tell the machine where to plant the potatoes.
Exactly. Yeah, we have the next question. This one said, in what ways could AI automation lead to a reduction in employment opportunities for creators?
Well, that's a very hard question because it's very hard to predict the future. But I guess the most creative part of humans, it's something that is in a way it's very hard to replace. I mean, you can create a very good AI that's able to do a certain task based on the things, the information and the input that specific algorithm got up to that point. But going from there further, it will be very hard to create new things for real. So in a way, the human creativity, the human brain, the imagination itself wasn't yet, as far as I know it, wasn't yet being cracked. So I guess the more people are focusing on research, creating new things, and even utilizing those tools to create
Okay.
new things, it is something that is not going to disappear for for next period. That's my opinion.
Well, Hubman, you want to add something to it?
No, no, no. And that's also something that's much easier to discuss after the fact. Right now, we just speculate. It's hard
Well,
to
I
know.
guess,
It's hard to know. But yeah,
I guess
I broadly agree with Andre about this.
cool. I guess creator, you guys don't need to worry a lot about that. Now we move to the next question. How do you think you can attract Web2 user to your project? So they want to know. The person want to know how can we attract Web2 user and non-crypto user to our project?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we should stop thinking about Web 2 and Web 3 and crypto people and not crypto people, because the kind of ecosystem we're building, it's attracting like AI developers, people who know how to create AI application, and the main thing is that we let those people to monetize their own creation in a simple way. Because right now, if you're like you're a smart guy and know how to create AI solution, it will be very hard for you to monetize that. I mean, of course you can work for a company, you create a solution, that company sell a solution, you get back a salary. But why not let those people create their own solution, make them available for people, and when those make sense for them, of course they will pay back you. So in a way you're able to monetize their own idea, your own work. So as mentioned, we creating a new ecosystem that is bringing together developer, data, infrastructure, all of this working together to create solution and AI application that makes sense for end user. So in a way, the ecosystem we're building is not only targeted for Web3 or crypto people, rather it's the next step. We are pushing the limit of Web3 itself. We want to make it more available to people, more accessible, and this is like our mission. So in a way, we stopped thinking about a while ago about Web2 and Web3. Rather, we think just the web and the ownership and how we can create the web of intelligence.
Yep, that's a very good response. And I hope if you're in the comment, if you're listening to the session right now, please, I hope Andrew gave your response to your answer. But if you still need additional information, feel free to hit up us on all social media, and our team will be right there to give you all the support. We'll now move to the next question. I am a statistician actually, and as I see you, you're a data scientist. What are new trends in statistic and AI? I think this one goes to Andre or Hakma.
No, I can take it.
Yeah.
So of course, the big trend, which we don't need to mention again, is the natural language part, right? But
Mm,
another one I did talk about before, and for
mm,
someone that is more like in data science and don't deal with, for example, natural language processing. So I think explainable AI or explainable machine learning is
mm,
really the big trend, right? Very much because um, the methods are new. People didn't used to think about it. For example, GDPR, the European data
mm,
Yeah.
uh, privacy laws and so, right, they triggered a little bit that because they have this, that if you have an algorithm making decisions about people's life that impact people's life, then it has to be explainable, right? The customers or the people have the right to ask for an explanation why they got their credit score downgraded or whatever, or ended up in jail or so, right?
mm,
Which means that this explainability became very important. uh, and this is something that not only because of legal reasons, right? GDPR,
mm,
similar laws are coming in other countries, not only in Europe, right? But so not only because of that, but also because explaining machine learning, some of the methods they have developed speaks directly to what companies are interested in, as I mentioned before. So I think that if you are in this field and you're looking for uh, I should say, developments that you want to dig into a little bit further, definitely look up explainable machine learning. And I can see, okay, so apart from this, like I should say, theoretical arguments, I do
mm.
see the companies do it more and more, right? So because of this advice I do over students, I get a sense of what is the kind of industry interest or so, right? And I see that this is a topic that is increasing rapidly, yeah, over the last 1 year or something like that, yeah.
Good. Torgad, I hope Hakma provided more detailed information to your question. And if you still need more clarity, feel free to reach out to us on our social media, and we'll be right there to give you all the support that you need. The next question here is what problems does, it should be does, what problem does the AI technology solve as regards to Web3? What problem, let's take it as, let me rephrase the question. What problems do AI technology solve as regards to Web3?
So I guess this is something that we mentioned previously. So AI technology can be used to solve a lot of problems regarding it can be utilized in different way. Like as Hjalmar told about the possibility to predict like defects of a stable coin. It can be used to detect different kind of fraudulent transaction, or maybe it can be simply used to detect like bugs and faults in smart contracts. So there's a lot of way how AI technology can be used for specific problem in Web3. But I guess this is just the beginning. We're going to see a lot of more tools which are going to be used to in a way to augment or to fix all kind of problems or things or to make that like the overall Web3 better.
Good. Yeah, let's move on quick to the next question. What plans do you guys have for early supporters and an airdrop?
Yeah, so we have a lot of really good things prepared for you guys. We're going to announce all of them at the specific point. We're just doing preparing things. So we just check our major milestone, which was to prepare like the first version of our protocol. Maybe you have the chance to be with us in our previous live session to see how it's working, to see how it's from a developer perspective. If not, I highly encourage you to have a look. You should find the video on YouTube in our social media channel. But we're doing preparing to launch something which is groundbreaking by itself. It's not just another project. We're launching something which is in a way is and it is not like lofty. It's not we're pushing the limit of Web3 by itself, and we start thinking about stop thinking about Web2 and Web3. We are creating the intelligent web, and this is something it's different compared to what other things you see right now in the ecosystem. But stay assured, there's a lot of good things for early supporters and people who are in our community and are with us, and they are part of our family in a way.
Man, yeah, as Andrew just mentioned, make sure you join the community. Our Discord link is on all of our social channels. Join the community and start seeing what other people are currently benefiting. There are tons of benefits, and we're going to announce that at a very specific time. We go to the next question. This one says, how many countries is Open Fabric planning to operate in? How many countries?
So I guess it's like it's at it's internet is something which works globally. We
Yeah.
don't want to create limitation. We just want to to let smart people get in and build interesting things. So I guess there you cannot create like a limitation of specific geographical location. So in a way, everyone from around the world and even other planets can simply join and in Open Fabric. There's no specific uh, you know geographic limitation or constraint. So yeah.
So yeah, iPhone Android, there's no limitation. Wherever you are, you can be part of Open Fiber AR. Just make sure you have access to internet and a smart device. Yeah. So we'll move to the next one. What are the limitations or challenges of using AR in art, and how can they be addressed? Um, Andrew and
Well,
Hama, you guys can take this one at a time.
yeah, so I guess it's about generative, generative model things. We are generating picture from text or uh, generating images or video in a way. So I guess the biggest challenge are, of course, there's technical challenge. There are intellectual property challenges. There's even ethical challenges. So there's a lot of things because when you're creating such even stable diffusion models or similar, you have to put a lot of input, a lot of images, which came, of course, from the internet. But in a way, it's the problem. Okay, who's the owner of the output of that specific, algorithm? Because if I learn it with your pictures, then there's a very very complicated, argument about who's the rightful owner. So there's a lot of challenges, not only technical, not only like from legal perspective, from IPR, but in a way it's good to have this tool. It's good to utilize them, but we're going to have to address this kind of specific in the near future. But right now they're just we're just exploring what we can do with fire. So in a way, and I like this similarity. So we can use fire to cook food or to burn houses. So it is just up to us how we utilize this and how we manage to create like a framework, because it's also creating a framework where maybe people who created the things that are utilized to generate some other things can be incentivized in a way, or to to find a specific framework. But these are not trivial. These are not trivial things by far.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, for that. This one is for you specifically, Hatma. What about your unique researches about AR and extracting data sets in different manner? This is for you, Hatma.
So data set,
Hmm.
that is back to Andre's answer about that. That's probably going to be one growing employment opportunity. Uh, so I have, of course, worked with very different data sets, and I've worked with data that's recorded like from the brain. You poke down electrodes and you record electric activity in the brain, and such data sets are they done in experiments, right? But they essentially, if you set up your experiment, you automatically collect the data, right? You don't need to curate it a whole lot yourself if you did experiment properly. But I have also worked with data sets where it takes a whole lot of curation, where you, in one way or another, need to label. I had this video data set. I was interested if I can use a convolutional neural network to track the behavior of animals, actually. And there I had to myself sit and I probably spent 40 hours on labeling it. But before that, I spent probably another 40 hours writing a program or writing Python code to facilitate the labeling. So I could, like, with a one click, like add the label, right? This thing today is much easier. When I did this 2015, 2016, I think it was, there wasn't very good open source software for video labeling, so I had to write my own. But today this is way better. And of course, I see all these business data sets or so, which are also, how should I say, like automatically gathered, but they need a whole lot of how should I say, cleaning, right, and feature generation and so, or feature extraction, and but often they're not. I don't think they are so. These tabular data sets, they are a little bit boring, actually, if I should be frank. That's more my students working with those.
Okay. Yep. So again, if you seen this, Andre Hakma just provided more answer to your questions. Now we'll move to the next one. So leave your question in the comment section, and our backstage team will push it up to us, and we will have the speakers to provide answers to your questions. The next one say, does Open Fabric AI have any high level education proof AR process? How does Open Fabric AI collaborate with universities on this regard? Andre, you can take this one.
Yes, so I guess the question is about how we want to collaborate in future, I guess, with universities and research centers and people who are doing, like, at the frontier of AI and doing real and active research. So our plan is to open up and provide access to universities and students to utilize Open Fabric technology. So if there are people willing to get into discussion with us, we're more than happy to have a chat with them. So yeah, we're open in our approach.
So please get in touch with us. I'll see you just mentioned that to you. Make sure you reach out to us, and we are open to having more conversation around that. We are open to collaboration. This one is for you, Hakma. What is your opinion about data science and AR cross and regulatory framework on this area about legal issues to evaluate outputs and validate of those outputs actually? That's the question.
So Andre touched a little bit about the regulation issue before, and I do agree with Andre that there seems to be a bit like regulation, at least the United States, is used, or at least the discussion around regulation is used as a way to for the incumbents to control the competition, and maybe also drum up excitement around it, right? I know that definitely. Well, I heard from I think Karpati that OpenAI did that, right? They had this like stage release of GPT-2 and so, right? And that was more a way of, how should I say, drumming up interest than it was actually as an attempt to provide some safety around it. But okay, but apart from that regulation side, which I'm not so excited about, there are definitely very important questions around data privacy and ownership of data, and like who owns the. I think that's settled around Stable Diffusion. I think the rule around Stable Diffusion are similar. Those generative AI image models is that the output cannot be copyrighted. But these type of questions, they are important and they have to be addressed quickly. And there's also questions around transparency, that when is machine learning and AI applied, and we should be able to see that. We should be able to know if, say that in policing, for example, right? I mean, that seriously affect people's life. And you should be able to know when it's applied, and if they are, should be able to kind of, I should say, understand the models to know if they do, for example, implement biases, or, like. So there is regulation that needs to be there, and that I really think is important, but often it's not the type of regulation that you hear people talking a lot about. It's not so, how should I say, spectacular. It's more the grunt work that needs to be there for these things to develop in a safe and mutually beneficial way for humanity, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with your response. That's a really good one. That leads us to the next question. This is a very good question. I think we have had this conversation before. So, does Open Fabric AI have an ambassador program? How can I be active within your community?
Yes, so in this moment, we have in our website the possibility for people to join our ambassador program. We're going to release that program soon. So if there are people interested, just join our, just go on our website, and be sure that you subscribe to the list, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Good. Again, Andrew, just to add to what Andrew just mentioned to you, all of the information is on the website. Just head over to the community session and click join the community, and you're already in, and you can get all the information right in your inbox. Let's go to the next one. This one say, okay, we'll pass this one. How Open Fabric attracts investors from all over the world? That's the first, and there's a follow-up question. And is there any plans to attract Web2 users too? Is there any plan to attract Web2 users and educate them about AR and Web3?
Yes, so as I previously mentioned in some other answers, so we are building something that is useful not only for Web 2 or Web 3. It's something that is changing the perspective. So I think in a way we're going to see a lot of more people embracing, if not like Bitcoin and Ethereum rather, or Web3, the concept of ownership, the way the Web3 promotes and presents the possibility of being owner of certain assets over internet. So I guess more and more people will get used to that. Of course, there's still room to improvement in our user experience, how those tools are created, all the friction regarding, setting up a wallet and managing your assets. So I guess all of these will be becoming better and simple and, smoother in their usage. So we're going to see a lot of more people embracing the idea of, owning or controlling certain asset over the internet. So I guess it's just a matter of time until we see a lot of people, more people utilizing the technology. And I guess with ecosystem as open fabric, where we basically let them utilize AI technology. And of course, as you may be aware of, we're building a technology that simplifies and smooths all the friction point. More and more people will have the interest on utilizing AI technology in a simple way, without all the technical detail, without all this, friction point that currently exists. So I guess in the future there won't be like Web 2 and Web 3; it just will be like web. So yeah.
Well, that's a really good one. And then this next question also coincide with your previous response. And I believe that Hakma and you, Andre, you guys can answer this question together and give your thoughts. This one said, will artificial intelligence take over the world, or are we all going to be friends with artificial intelligence? They want to know. Who wants to go first? Hakma and Andre.
This is the alignment issue. I don't know. I feel like it's going so quick. So if I say something wrong now, then I will know that it was wrong 5 years down the line, right?
Yeah.
uh, I don't know.
Well, I guess people, in a way, look at the artificial intelligence as like, in Terminator, like something like another being, like in which is going to be there and beat us or be our friend. So I don't think this is how the technology works in general. Technology, it's a tool by definition. So if it's our friend or our enemy, it depends on the people programming that thing, right? So I guess the technology by itself doesn't have the capabilities, or yet doesn't have it yet, so it able to have a purpose. So the purpose is still provided by us. So it all depends on how we want to use that. We want to use it for, as I just repeating that with the fire, to cook meals and to warm ourselves, or to burn houses. It's just the creator of that. It's setting its intent. So if it's going to be, our friend or our enemy, it all depends on how we are designing that and how we utilize it. But from my perspective, and this is in a way, if you look in the back in history, with all the major invention, there was this period where people get scared of it. Then they get accustomed it. Then they start to integrate it, and it integrated in their lives, in the things they're doing, and they stop. They simply didn't see it anymore. It's like electricity. It's over. You can die if you put your fingers in the uh, on high voltage, but at the same time I can light a bulb, or my computer, everything work with using electricity, and it's there, and I don't care about it anymore, but it is there. So I guess similar will happen also with artificial intelligence technology.
I would like to add also that
Yes, please.
when people think about this in these sci-fi scenarios, I think they think more about like actually like something like artificial life that is intelligent, right? And we don't really develop artificial life. So artificial life in the sense that uh, it has its own will to live and to reproduce and to kind of these basic motivations that then might go against our motivations or our interests, right? And that is not what we're developing today. We are developing tools that do things, like, yes, as Andre says, the fire or a car or bicycles, you can do bad things with them. Sure, but it's a tool. It doesn't have its own will. The car doesn't start running over people by itself, right? Or the bicycle doesn't like run you over the edge because the bicycle wants so, right? They're not alive. They don't have these properties, right? So what we do here is we're developing intelligent tools, and I think, well, there will be problems. They won't have the motivations. that is required to start a war with humans, right?
Well, so for the person who wants to know more about whether we're going to be friends with artificial intelligence, I mean, they just mentioned that to you. They are all tools, so it depends who are programming that.
Yeah.
It's either going to be helpful to you or harmful to you, so you better choose wisely. So,
This we talked a bit before about this like DAO, right? The DAO can be set up a little bit as like an organism, right? That is kind of, in
Okay.
some sense acting on itself, and if we can
mhm.
now equip it with some open fabric brains, it takes intelligent actions automatically. Maybe we there could kind of, you know, start a war against mankind. That'll be interesting.
You're definitely going to use
Anyhow,
open
I'm
fabric
not go-
brain. Yes, please go ahead, Alma.
I'm not going to do that though. It's an interesting thought experiment.
Yeah. So we have this next question. Now how will Open Fabric try to? So we have had this question multiple times in all of our AMA session, and I think this one is for you, Andre. How will Open Fabric try to stand out from other AR art platforms?
So I guess what is worth mentioning, we are not trying to be an AI platform. We're building something much greater. We're building a protocol where people can bring their own AI art model, their own large language model. They can build their own, you know, drug discovery model, their own. They can put to reality any idea they may have by utilizing artificial intelligence technology. So we're just creating some use case for people to see the potential and how easy it is to build this kind of use case on top of Open Fabric. But our vision and our mission is beyond that. It's about creating an environment where people can can build their own AI application. So yeah, we are more than just creating these tools. We're creating these tools to showcase, but this is not like the fundamental and the main purpose of what we're doing. So we building something beyond that.
Good. Um, yeah, that's a really good response to that. So this one is quite hilarious. We have why tech people don't smile. So Akmal and Andre, you guys need to take this one.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a harder one. It's hardest.
It's beyond me.
Why
I
do tech
saw I
people don't?
saw a comment that you couldn't express a smiley in what is it? Is it one byte of binary? Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so we just move straight to the next question. So we cannot provide answer to that question. It's based on personality different. So it's not like a specific question answer to that question. So move to the next. This one say, I would love to know about any mind blowing things you found between Web3 and AI. That is very. I think this person meant contrarian with condition thinking. So it's like contrary to convention thinking.
Okay, so
Yeah, I can read the question again.
yeah.
Okay, I would love to know about any mind-blowing thing you found between Web3 and AR. That is very, I think this is actually contrary. That is very
Yeah,
contrary.
contrarian
Uh,
to conventional
Yeah.
thinking, right? That's
Mhm.
how I interpret it.
so I guess Open Fabric is a good example, right? It's
Okay.
normally of course, right now, if we people kind of get used with the idea and we still more people think about it. But a few years ago, so we starting in 2019 with the idea when everyone who you speak with about creating this kind of ecosystem that is Open Fabric right now say, okay, this cannot work. It's impossible because you have AI and blockchain, and they have some very fundamental and different philosophies. So it's impossible for them to work together. So in a way, it's a good counterintuitive, against like conventional thinking example. So yeah, I guess the more we try to find solution by combining things that normally do not fit together, I guess this is the place where we can find the greatest innovation. And this is not about Web3 or AI or blockchain, but it's about like in overall how we combine things that normally do not fit together. There's a high potential there to find new things, new innovation, but it's like a more general approach, so yeah.
Okay. Hagma, you want to ask something to it?
No, 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 not really.
Okay. So this one says, this is our second to last question. When free tech training for us, will your project have any bootcamp for Web2 developers?
Yeah, so we have in our plan to create like this training session, where basically some people from our AI innovation team will be able to guide other people to train them, to provide insights, because there's a lot of insights, a lot of hints which comes with the experience. So this is something we have in our roadmap, but is going to be a bit later on. But we have this prepared. So yeah, if there are people willing to learn more about our technology, willing to build on top of our technology, then I highly encourage you to get in our website and to add to the waiting list for the innovator. And of course, we will get back on you as soon as possible and provide you guidance and provide you support for you to build on top of our technology.
Awesome. So this is our last question from the comment session, and then after this question, we just have a last remark for you guys, Andre and Hakma. Then we close the session. So this one said, "Do you allow suggestions and feedback from the community? Are we allowed in decision making? Do you put community into consideration?"
Yeah, so I guess community is very important. It's very important providing guidance, providing feedback. The feedback is very important. We got a lot of feedback, especially when we were building like our developer tools, like SDK, API. We got some early contributor from our community providing feedback, which essentially allows us to polish all the tools in an accelerated way. So for us, the feedback from the community, it's very important, because in a way they are utilizing the things we're creating, even if they are utilizing as from a end user perspective, they're utilizing from a developer perspective, they're utilizing from an infrastructure provider perspective. Because you can create tools, but the best feedback is so it doesn't matter how smart you think about them, or how much time do you take to polish those things. The real feedback gets from the real user utilizing that. So of course we take very serious the feedback from our community, and especially from people utilizing our technology.
Yeah, just to add to what I just mentioned, we usually have a survey. We drop our surveys in the comment section, and you can feel free to give us as many feedback as possible. We prioritize feedback from the community because this is what we do. We build customer centric products that are tailored towards people's needs. So we're gonna drop the survey in the comment section. Just stay tuned; it's gonna be there very shortly, and you can take a time to fill it out. So before we wrap this up, Andre and Hakma, I want you to give us a sentence, one sentence. What do you want the listener to get out of this entire session? We'll start with you, Andre.
Yeah, so I guess people should stop being afraid of AI, and instead of being scared of it, try to find out new opportunities, because the new opportunities will arise there, of course. So instead of being I've just seen like in news a lot of people being scared about AI, that not just taking their jobs and basically killing everyone like Terminator. Of course, this is something that the news and all of these are utilizing to scare you. I guess the most important thing you should take from today's discussion is that AI, it's about new opportunities. It's about new things, and of course, people who are smart enough to understand that will get a lot of benefit, a lot of benefits out of that. So my words be okay. Don't be scared from AI. AI is not here to kill you.
Hakma, one sentence for you. Tell us, what do you want the listener to get out of this session?
Yeah, move forward. Keep on learning. There are so many opportunities around and coming.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, them both. Keep learning. Andre wants you to know that you shouldn't be afraid of AI. It's not here to kill you. It's not here to harm you. It's here to upskill a lot of things in your life and make your life better in terms of processes. And Hakma wants you to know that you should keep learning. It's a lifelong learning journey. And we want to say, for all of us at Open Fabric AR, thank you so much for being part of today's session. And I want you to stay tuned. We have tons of different sessions that are coming up with our partners inside Open Fabric, and all the information that you need to know about what we have built and when we're going to be into the market will be discussed in upcoming sessions. And if you're not following us, make sure you follow us on all social media. Make sure you click our website and join our community and start benefiting from early adapters, gems within our community. We want to say thank you so much again, and do have yourself a pleasant evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Ciao.